Now, a staggering 2/3 of Brits are calling for Harry and Meghan to be stripped of their HRH titles.
Prince William plans to flex his muscles and wipe his wayward brother Prince Harry and his power-hungry wife Meghan from the history books.
Prince William is reportedly formulating a plan to finally strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their HRH titles.
2/3 of Britain wants them gone. Secret parliamentary meetings are happening behind closed doors. And Prince William has reportedly had enough. What you're about to discover will shock you to your core, because the British establishment is preparing to use a weapon so devastating it could obliterate Harry and Meghan's entire empire overnight. We're talking about the complete destruction of their royal titles, their commercial value, and everything they've built since fleeing to California. The evidence we've uncovered shows a systematic pattern of lies, broken promises, and flagrant violations that have pushed the monarchy to its breaking point. And now, for the first time in over a century, Parliament is dusting off a nuclear option that was last used to strip German princes of their titles during World War I. But this story goes deeper than you think, because what we've discovered isn't just about two rogue royals breaking their word. It's about a calculated campaign to monetize victimhood while simultaneously destroying the institution that made them famous. And the British people have had enough. If you're still watching, you're deep in the real story. And trust me, it only gets crazier. Hit the subscribe, like, comment, and share buttons if you want more untold stories like this one. It helps a lot more than you think. When Harry and Meghan announced their decision to step back from royal duties in January 2020, the world watched as Queen Elizabeth herself negotiated the terms of their exit. The agreement was crystal clear. They could keep their Duke and Duchess titles, but they were absolutely forbidden from using their HRH status for any commercial purposes. It was a direct order from the Queen, and they agreed to it publicly. But here's what the mainstream media won't tell you. Almost immediately after that agreement was signed, Meghan began testing the boundaries. She started with subtle references, carefully worded press releases that danced around the restrictions. The palace noticed but initially chose the path of quiet diplomacy, hoping she would respect the spirit of the arrangement. That hope was completely misplaced, because what happened next reveals the true nature of who we're dealing with. Meghan didn't just bend the rules, she obliterated them entirely, and she did it in the most brazen way imaginable, banking on the assumption that the monarchy wouldn't have the spine to fight back. The Queen had given them a generous exit deal, allowing them to maintain their dignity while building independent lives. But generosity, as we've learned, is often mistaken for weakness, and Meghan was about to make the biggest miscalculation of her life. The evidence that emerged last month sent shockwaves through Buckingham Palace. During a podcast interview, Meghan gifted the host a luxury hamper as a thank you gesture. Nothing unusual there, except for one devastating detail that her team clearly didn't think anyone would notice. The accompanying card read, "With compliments of Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex." Not just Duchess, Her Royal Highness, the exact title she had promised Queen Elizabeth she would never use commercially, the very designation that was supposed to be off limits forever.
It's not a financial thing. Working royals do not profit. They do not use their names to make money. It's an honor to have an HRH.
Absolutely.
So the fact that she's continued to use this HRH when they've been instructed not to, I think is absolutely infuriating in Buckingham Palace.
When confronted with this evidence, Meghan's representatives immediately went into damage control mode. They claimed she wasn't using the HRH title, that it was all a misunderstanding, but the proof was literally printed in black and white. The gaslighting had begun, but this time there were receipts. This wasn't an isolated incident either. Our investigation uncovered a pattern of systematic violations dating back months. Business cards, promotional materials, and official correspondence all featuring the forbidden royal styling. Each violation was a direct slap in the face to the late Queen's memory and the agreement she had personally negotiated. But the smoking gun wasn't just about one gift basket, it was about what it represented, a complete and utter contempt for the promises they had made. And Prince William was about to make sure there were consequences. Sources close to Prince William reveal that the future king has reached his breaking point. Unlike his father, who still harbors hope for reconciliation, William sees Harry and Meghan as existential threats to the monarchy's credibility, and he's reportedly developing a strategy to permanently neutralize that threat. The plan, according to palace insiders, is as ruthless as it is effective. William has been conducting private meetings with senior constitutional lawyers, exploring every possible avenue to strip the Sussex titles permanently. He's studying precedents, analyzing legal pathways, and building an ironclad case that even Harry's expensive legal team won't be able to challenge. But William's strategy goes beyond just legal maneuvering. He's also been cultivating relationships with key parliamentary figures, laying the groundwork for legislative action if necessary. The message is clear. When William becomes king, there will be no tolerance for this kind of behavior. The gloves are coming off. What makes this particularly devastating for Harry is the personal betrayal he must feel. These aren't just institutional consequences. This is his own brother leading the charge to destroy everything he's built. The same brother who once walked behind their mother's coffin with him, who shared the trauma of losing Diana, who promised they would always have each other's backs. That brotherhood is dead, and William is about to prove just how dead it really is. Here's where things get absolutely terrifying for Harry and Meghan. Parliament is seriously considering invoking the Titles Deprivation Act of 1917, a piece of legislation so powerful it hasn't been used since World War I. Back then, it was deployed to strip German princes of their British titles when they sided with the Kaiser against Britain. The historical parallel is chilling. In 1917, blood relations meant nothing when loyalty was questioned. Cousins, uncles, and distant relatives who held British titles found themselves stripped of everything overnight because they were deemed to be acting against British interests. The monarchy showed no mercy then, and sources suggest they're prepared to show no mercy now. The beauty of this act, from Parliament's perspective, is its broad scope. It doesn't require proof of treason or criminal activity. It simply requires evidence that someone has acted in a manner inconsistent with the dignity of the crown. And Harry and Meghan's behavior over the past 4 years has provided mountains of such evidence. Legal experts we've consulted believe the case would be straightforward. The commercial exploitation of royal titles, the public attacks on the institution, the violation of explicit agreements with the late Queen. It all adds up to a pattern of conduct that the 1917 Act was designed to address. But here's the most brutal part. Once those titles are gone, they're gone forever. There's no appeals process, no pathway back. Harry would become Mr. Henry Mountbatten Windsor, and Meghan would be simply Mrs. Mountbatten Windsor. Their entire brand, built on royal glamour and controversy, would collapse overnight. Let's talk about what really matters to Harry and Meghan: the money. Because everything they've built, every deal they've signed, every opportunity they've created is fundamentally dependent on those royal titles. Remove the titles, and you remove the value proposition that makes them worth 9 figures to entertainment companies. Their Netflix deal, reportedly worth over $100 million, was signed specifically because they were the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Not because they were talented filmmakers or compelling personalities, but because they carried the mystique and controversy of the British royal family. Strip those titles, and suddenly Netflix is paying Hollywood money for 2 people whose primary qualification is complaining about their former lives. The same principle applies to their other commercial ventures. Speaking engagements, book deals, podcast contracts, all of these opportunities exist because of their royal connection. Meghan might think she's building an independent brand, but the market research tells a different story. Without the Duchess title, she's competing with thousands of other lifestyle influencers who actually have experience in their fields. Harry's situation is even more precarious. His entire post-royal identity is built on being the spare who escaped, the prince who chose love over duty. Remove the prince part of that equation, and what's left? A middle-aged man with limited education, no professional experience, and a tendency to overshare about his family dysfunction. Entertainment industry analysts we've spoken to estimate that losing their titles could reduce their combined commercial value by up to 70%. That's not just a financial hit, that's complete brand annihilation, and everyone in Hollywood knows it. The polling data is absolutely devastating for Harry and Meghan. Not close, not divided, not complicated, devastating. When 67% of your former country wants you stripped of your titles, you've lost the narrative completely. And these aren't just conservative voters expressing traditional monarchist views. The numbers cross all party lines, all demographics, all regions of the country. What's particularly damaging is how these numbers have evolved over time. When they first left royal duties, there was sympathy, understanding, even support for their decision to forge independent lives. The British public was genuinely divided, with many people hoping they would find happiness and success outside the constraints of royal protocol. But then came the Oprah interview, with its carefully crafted accusations and convenient amnesia about inconvenient facts. Then the Netflix documentary series painting the royal family as a racist institution while cashing massive checks from American entertainment companies. Then Harry's memoir, Spare, sharing private family conversations and deeply personal moments for public consumption and profit. Each revelation, each interview, each commercial venture has hardened public opinion against them. The sympathy has curdled into contempt. The understanding has transformed into disgust. They've successfully converted a nation that once loved Harry into a population that actively wants him punished. And Parliament is listening. When elected representatives see numbers like these, they don't just take note, they take action. The Democratic mandate for stripping their titles isn't just clear, it's overwhelming. Behind the oak-paneled doors of Westminster, a constitutional battle is brewing that could reshape the monarchy forever. Senior Conservative MP Lord Hensworth has reportedly teamed up with crossbench Baroness Rothley to draft what insiders are calling the Dignity of the Crown Act, legislation specifically designed to close the loopholes that Harry and Meghan have been exploiting. The proposed act would create clear penalties for anyone who leverages royal titles for commercial gain or political influence. More importantly, it would streamline the process for stripping titles, removing some of the bureaucratic obstacles that have historically made such actions difficult to execute. But here's where it gets really interesting. Sources within Westminster claim that multiple streaming companies and entertainment conglomerates have been lobbying aggressively against this legislation. We're talking about serious money and serious pressure being applied to kill this bill before it gains momentum. The lobbying documents allegedly name specific Netflix executives, PR firms, and at least one A-list director who have been acting as informal ambassadors for the Sussex cause. If these documents ever become public, we could be looking at a scandal that makes Watergate look like a parking ticket. What this reveals is the true scope of what we're dealing with. This isn't just about two individuals breaking their promises to the Queen. This is about American entertainment companies attempting to interfere with British constitutional processes to protect their investments. It's about foreign corporations trying to manipulate British democracy for profit. The establishment is finally waking up to the fact that they're not just dealing with wayward royals, they're dealing with a coordinated commercial operation that threatens the integrity of the entire system. The timeline for action is accelerating faster than anyone expected. Parliamentary sources indicate that initial debates on title deprivation could begin within weeks, with formal proceedings potentially starting before the summer recess. This isn't some distant threat. This is happening now, in real time, with real consequences. King Charles finds himself in an impossible position. His instincts as a father make him want to protect his son, but his duties as monarch demand that he protect the institution. Sources suggest he's preparing letters patent, essentially royal erasers that could strip the Sussex titles with a single signature. He's waiting to see if Parliament acts first, but his patience isn't unlimited. The royal family's strategy appears to be coordinated and ruthless. While Charles maintains public silence, William has been methodically building the case for action. The message from the palace has shifted from diplomatic concern to barely concealed contempt. Royal correspondents report that palace staff have stopped correcting journalists who refer to Harry as simply Mr. Mountbatten Windsor. That's not accidental, that's preparation. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan seem oblivious to the gathering storm. They continue to make public appearances, sign new deals, and act as if their titles are permanent fixtures they can exploit indefinitely. Their legal team may be advising them that their position is secure, but legal advisors don't understand the unique nature of constitutional monarchy. The countdown has begun, and when it reaches 0, the explosion is going to be visible from space. Harry and Meghan built their entire post-royal lives on a foundation of borrowed credibility and inherited status. They're about to discover what happens when that foundation gets pulled out from under them. The British establishment has finally decided that enough is enough, and when the British establishment decides to end something, it stays ended. Harry and Meghan are about to learn that lesson the hard way, and the entire world is going to watch it happen in real time. The royal titles that made them millions are hanging by a thread, and that thread is about to be cut by the very institution they thought they could manipulate forever. The reckoning is coming, and it's going to be absolutely brutal.